Debout là-bas, Kat. Debout, joue.
All occasions to Real Madrid, Barcelona and Chelsea. They say the third time is the charm. Will the fifth time be the charm for the Aston Villa boss? When we look at the 2-11s for PSG in a 4-3-3, Matvei Savinov is in goal. Back four of Achraf Hakimi, skipper Marquinhos, William Pacho and Nuno Mendes. Midfield three of Vitinha, João Neves and Warren Zaire-Emery, with new signing Magnus Akliouche, Desir Doué and Kivici Kvaratskhelia. A forward three for Enrique's French side. For Villa, Marco Bizot is in goal. Back four of Matty Cash, Victor Lindelof, Pau Torres and Ian Martin, with new signing João Gomez partnering a returning from injury Boubacar Kamara. It's Emi Buendia, skipper John McGinn and youngsters George Hemmings and Brian Maggio, who lead the line for Emery. Hemmings, the teenager, and only 17-year-old Maggio, trusted this evening by the Spaniard. All the action from the Red Bull Arena in Salzburg, Austria, coming up shortly. 8 p.m. kickoff. Do join us then for all the coverage of your unofficial, independent off-tube studio commentary. Will PSG go back-to-back in Super Cups, or will Unai Emery come back to bite his former employees? Should be a good one. PSG against Aston Villa. PSG take on Aston Villa this Wednesday evening in Salzburg, Austria, as the UEFA Super Cup. And it is a warm welcome to this evening's unofficial, independent, off-tube studio commentary of all the action from Salzburg, Austria this evening, as the UEFA Super Cup, the UEFA Champions League champions, playing the Europa League winners. PSG against Aston Villa. Both these sides looking for their second ever Super Cup. Of course, PSG looking to go back-to-back, the first side since Real Madrid close to a decade ago in 2016 and 2017, beating Sevilla and Manchester United respectively, whereas Aston Villa were successful in 1982, beating Barcelona. So it'll be an interesting tie this evening. PSG, they're in their third Super Cup, just a bit of history. They lose to Juventus in 1996 and they come forward down the right hand side. Desir Doué on the ball. Of course, both these teams not really back to full health with squads. Of course, the World Cup and signings, summer signings being made, not being made. Of course, Aston Villa, for example, losing Morgan, Rodgers, PSG. Well, the former villain on the bench for them, Lucas Digne, could make his second debut for PSG. Formerly did play for the Parisians almost a decade ago. He's not starting on Nuno Mendes, who's on the ball on the left-hand side, closed down by John McGinn, puts it out of play, looking for the run of Kvaratskhelia. Too much on it, and it's out of play for a throw-in. Luis Enrique, already seen pictures of the PSG boss, of course, as well. Another storyline coming into this, Unai Emery. It's his fifth chance in a Super Cup. He's lost all of his previous four. He won 3 times under Valencia, as well as that one time against Villarreal in 2021. He's lost every single time, unfortunately. So maybe fifth time the charm for Emery, and a bit of a opportunity to fight back and prove his former employers wrong. Of course, was the PSG boss from 2016 to 2018. Now seeing pictures of the 54-year-old Spaniard. It's myself, Lewis Raftery, joined by Charlie O'Brien, taking you through all the action this evening between PSG and Aston Villa. And I've won a dangerous free kick here of Villa, an opportunity to start well. Bring Charlie in just a moment's time. It looks like it's about halfway into the PSG half. Buendia will swing it in. It's an opportunity headed away by Marquinhos, only as far as Matty Cash. Out to McGinn on this right hand side. Cash overlaps. McGinn cuts inside. Lovely curling ball into the box. Dealt with though at the back by Pacho, and another new summer signing for PSG. Well, takes every touch and out of play. Akliouche, the youngster, he of course starts this evening as well. I'll take you through all the lineups in just a moment if you didn't miss them in the preamble. But Charlie, it's a big game between both these sides. Of course, Emery may be looking for a bit of revenge against his former side. PSG looking to go back to back. How do you see it going?
Yeah, it's a really interesting prospect. There's history between these two teams, recent history between the managers as well. Is this Villa coming forwards?
That's down the left-hand side. Easy, puts it past one. Can't beat the man with the ball in the box. A big season coming up for him. As of course, I've already seen pictures of Lucas Digne. He's on the PSG bench, as I did say. Well, Martin and Digne almost shared it. Maybe Digne got a lot more starts, definitely a lot more minutes, you'd probably say, than the left back starting this evening in Martin, from the Dortmund loanee. But now he's the first choice left back. Ball into the box from the corner. It's a good delivery, cleared away. Again, only as far as Cash for the second time in a row. Good press on though from PSG, forces the full-back all the way back to Marco Bizot in the Villa goal. Quickly then, the full lineup. Safanov in goal for the holders of the Super Cup. Back four of Hakimi, skipper Marquinhos, Pacho, and at left back Mendes. Heavy touch there in the middle from Villa, won well by João Neves. He plays it off of McGinn. Bit scrappy in the middle to start so far. McGinn wins it, then loses it, wins it, then loses it. As I say, very scrappy in the middle. That's a nice pass so into Akliouche down the right-hand side, looking for the run here of Doué. Good tackle at the back there by Martin. Against the likes of Hakimi and Doué on that left-hand side defensively. It will be a big evening for the young full-back. For Villa, though, as I say, it's a big lineup as well for them. But for PSG, midfield three of Zaire Emery, Vitinha and João Neves. Forward three of Akliouche, Doué and Kvaratskhelia. For Villa, Bizot in goal. Back four of Cash, Lindelof, Torres and Martin. Kamara and João Gomez. Another summer signing for Villa in the middle. Skipper McGinn off the right, Buendia off the left. With almost a forward duo of Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old, leading the line with George Hemmings. So two teenagers in advanced areas. Hemmings maybe even playing off the left-hand side as well, possibly. Long ball forward, clearance away by Marquinhos. End of the game, it's very early on, so I'm not saying, but still both teams, 6 minutes we're about to tick into. They are still growing into this game, aren't they? They're still figuring things out, so very frantic in the middle.
Yeah, I think Aston Villa probably just about edged it so far. They've had the more interesting and dangerous possession in that final third of PSG, but we've seen PSG on multiple occasions in big games start pretty slowly, and I don't think they'll be too concerned or anything like that. They also have a really good record against English teams in this last couple of years when they've dominated European football. Last season they played both Liverpool and Chelsea, I believe, on the way through, and also the season before they played Aston Villa, of course. I think they played Liverpool and Chelsea maybe again in that run as well, and of course beat Arsenal in the final, Spurs in the last Super Cup as well. So, you know, sometimes we think about these European teams, a bit more technical, can they do it against a physical Premier League side? I think the answer has been an emphatic yes in the case of PSG.
Yeah, they've just taken it to another level of kind of having the Parisians, as rightfully spoke about. They did meet, of course, of that two-legged affair before PSG won their first of two Champions Leagues under the belt. Now 3-1 in Paris, and Villa did win the second leg, 3-2 of course, as we spoke about, but enough to overturn the deficit. Throwing on the right-hand side for PSG. I thought Hakimi was going to take that, but he rolls it back instead, and Marquinhos has it into Pacho. Early on, still waiting really for the first big moment, you'd have to say, of this game. Mendes, looking for a 1-2 there. It was Kvaratskhelia with Akliouche. So fluid as well. I said the PSG formation and the lineup, and I know we all get them pre-game, but he's so fluid. About 5 minutes ago, there was an attack where I said Doué had it, and Martin dealt with him really well down the left-hand side for Villa defensively. But it was Hakimi who was in the box, and he's the right back. I can imagine that sometimes, isn't it, that whether you like man marking, whether very from set piece, come on, maybe talking about, but a lot of the games these days you see man marking. It must be an absolute nightmare to man mark when you don't know who your man is or where they went. Ball forward looking for Hemmings. Too much on it. Might just get a touch to it, but it rolls back to Safanov in the PSG goal. Of course, that's been a big talking point. Of course, this time last year, Donnarumma was in goal just over a year ago. The big Italian then made the move to Manchester City, and Chevalier was brought in from Lille to take over in the sticks, and then Safanov, the Russian, well, he's made the number one spot in the PSG goal his own. So that's sort of a topic of discussion this evening. Mendes left-hand side to Kvaratskhelia, back to Pacho. Just see Akliouche, who I had on the right-hand side, very central. Doué moving then to the right. So fluid is this Luis Enrique system. Neves to the feet of Zaire Emery, who got a lot of minutes, of course, in the league last season. Didn't see much in the Champions League because they were very fully fit and firing for most of the season. Doué dinks it over the top, looking for one of Hakimi. Lovely first touch on his chest, driving into the penalty area. Well defended, but Kvaratskhelia will keep the attack alive. I thought they'd just dealt with it there. Did Martin and Lindelof. Back to the right-hand side. Ball comes in, blocked away, but not dealt with. Mendes looks to flick it on, looking for Neves. He gets it back out to Mendes. Ball into the box, straight into the arms of Bizot there. But again, that just proves that I don't know what Unai Emery will have said of, again, marking this man, Jorman, we're going to defend this way. But that ball over the top was a lovely touch from Hakimi. He just unfortunately then kind of just got it caught in between his feet.
Yeah, it was a bit of a scuffed cross, really. It was a good run forwards, and obviously Hakimi is a very dangerous player going forwards, but still maybe a pocket of space where you'd rather one of your more technical wingers in that area, you know, who's so close to the byline in the box, and also had a couple of players for company, and it just seemed like he just wanted to try and wrap his foot around it and get the ball into the area. He was unable to do so, though.
PSG back in possession, and look, I think Aston Villa are a possession side, but they're not as gung-ho on that as a lot of teams are in the modern day. Emery happy to sit back and hit on the counter. They do have a lot of pace, of course, and one of the major talking points, Majo as well, 17-year-old is a big physical force. He can hold that up even though he's only 17 years old. I'm sure he'll give Pacho Marquinhos a bit of a run around this evening. Vitinha will go for goal. Good 35, 40 yards out. He does have a shot at goal, does the PSG midfielder, but that was well over the bar. 10.5 minutes on the clock, approaching 11 here in Salzburg, Austria. Goalless so far. Unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary. PSG against Aston Villa in the Super Cup. Great atmosphere, I'd have to say, in Austria this evening. Fans making their way out there from the goal kick. Villa do go short, but then Lindelof tries to go direct into the feet of McGinn. Holds it up well, as per usual. That's a good tackle from Mendes. Neves quickly to Kvaratskhelia. Held up there by the duo of Cash and McGinn, getting back, and he plays it short to Kamara. Buendia first time into McGinn. Villa just trying to get comfortable on the ball. Cash plays it forward to Majo. He's got a one-on-one up against Pacho. Just well also to win a throw-in on the right-hand side for Villa. And they are starting just to get on the ball a little bit more, creep into it, getting a little bit of momentum. I have to say, Unai Emery side, and a player I look at there, obviously we spoke about pre-game, myself and Charlie, they've lost Rodgers, they've lost Tielemans, they've lost some big names, some have come in. For example, I thought a big name they lost for, well, the majority of the second half of the season was Boubacar Kamara when he went down with his knee injury. I thought he was one of him and Tielemans, I thought was such a great duo in the middle for Villa that I'm sure Unai Emery, to a degree, might almost think of, well, that feels like a new signing in itself, getting him back to full fitness.
Yeah, definitely, and with the Tielemans one, you can at least see that Gomez has clearly been brought in as a sort of like-for-like replacement. You can debate about whether the quality is the same, but he will fill that position, whereas it's that attacking midfielder, Rodgers, that they haven't actually replaced yet.
No, not as of yeah, I'm sure it's a signing that might cut ball centrally. Kamara unleashes a strike, and that is just a whisker wide there from the defensive midfielder, giving that space. You watched it, he dragged it wide, and it was always going wide. But for a second, Safanov was scrambling, looked a little bit worried, did the PSG goalkeeper there. That was nearly an opportunity out of just poor playing out from PSG. Villa pressed them well, and they won the ball. And 10 minutes in, 12 and a half, approaching 13 minutes, I should say. The opening 10 minutes, Villa didn't really have a sniff. Now they're kind of getting on the ball and getting a bit of a rhythm to their play. Yeah,
35% possession for Villa, and obviously not loads of clear-cut opportunities, but you feel like they're being more decisive up front. Obviously that can often happen if a team is feeling that they'll have less shots on goal probably than their opposition, then they just strike them and they take them a little bit quicker. But PSG have been messing around with it a little bit up there, and Aston Villa certainly have not.
I mean, we will say about PSG. I know they did win the Super Cup. What a game that was last season. Spurs thought they had, 9 fingers on the trophy out of 10. And then PSG, 2 late goals to force an extra time, and then PSG won on penalties in the end. Long ball into the box from a throw-in for Villa, nodded on by Maggio, but only into the arms of Safanov. He's PSG, it just reminds me, I know it's the French League and I don't watch as much of the French League as we do the Premier League and the lower leagues of England, as that's what we cover on this service, but they almost felt like Manchester City from the last 10 years. They kind of just get by, and then January hits, and that's when they hit the stride, don't they? Almost go, right, we're just going to get through September, October, November, December. We'll do what we'll do. We'll win most of our games. We'll win 9 out of 10 games. Well, sloppy performances. But then the new year hits, and it's very much how City would just strive for. They win 17 games or something very silly like that. You feel PSG are that kind of side as well, that the players... Enrique has his tactics as Kvaratskhelia just on the ball into Mendes just inside the Villa half. But Villa are very compact and making it awkward for the Parisians so far. We almost feel it's the players that, yeah, Luis, we'll do this, we'll do that. But we know that come January, that's when we hit our stride. And then they almost fly forward to the end of the season. Yeah,
they finished 11th in the Champions League group last season, so had to go through that extra playoff round, and I believe it was the same situation. Didn't they basically just scrape through the season before the group stage, and then obviously just hit their straps and just, neither year have they had an easy run to the final. They just started to annihilate every team that got put in front of them, or at the very least, find a way to outscore them. And these are good sides, the best sides in the world, really, that they're coming up against. So, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It always seems like maybe this is taken slightly out of proportion by our media, but it does seem like maybe in the back end of seasons that the French Confederation are a little bit better with helping out their sides that are still in Europe with rescheduling and stuff like that, and just helps them keep really fit and strong. And as you said, they had they had their best team really available at the end of last season, and it really showed.
Yeah, they've got such a great squad depth as well, haven't they, that they've basically got probably close to 3 11s that they could probably put out half Enrique's side. Throwing on the right for Villa, and on down centrally for Kamara. To spread the play to Torres, and no real intensity to the game in the last few minutes. Torres, nice pass into Buendia, backheels it into the path of Maggio, looking for the run there of Buendia, but Buendia wanted it short. He dropped off instead. The young forward had gone long. Poor clearance by Pacho, picked up nicely by Kamara, dinks it to the right for McGinn. He's got a run on Mendes. He wants to pull it back on that favoured left boot. Was that last off of McGinn trying to drive forward down the right? Yes, it was. So goal kick going the way of the not host, but the home side, I should say, in this game. Just watch about that nice back heel from when you see as well. It's basically, I can imagine Aston Villa and Emery saying, look, if they have the ball inside their own half, we're going to sit back. But if they've got the ball playing out from the back, we're going to press high. We're going to be aggressive. Mendes on the ball, close to his own corner on the left-hand side, has to spray it all the way from left to right in search of Hakimi. Just find the Moroccan, back to Akliouche, then to Marquinhos. Again, PSG, they are very happy to have possession, slow it down, keep control of the game, try and switch the tempo between low and high whenever they can. Mendes back centrally to Neves. Again, that midfield three, Vitinha's almost out-and-out number 9 traditionally, so they're just picking up pockets of space whenever they can. Hakimi very high and wide on the right-hand side for that cross-field ball. It will still be on the left-hand side with Pacho. Decent World Cup as well himself, did the PSG centre-back. Fizzes it into the feet of Vitinha. Out to Zaire Emery, who's picked up a pocket of space on this left-hand side. Into Kvaratskhelia. Of course, as well, not all these players were involved in this summer's tournament, so I think the likes of Kvaratskhelia might have had a great summer of rest, and that's what I think for all the leagues could be absolutely massive. Couldn't in Premier League to the Bundesliga to the Ligue 1 with PSG, La Liga, all of them is there's a lot of big names out there that didn't go to the World Cup because the country didn't qualify or maybe went home in the early stages, so they've got a lot more rest than other players. PSG nicely working out to Hakimi on the right hand side. Martin battling away, does well to come away with the ball. It's nicely won. Hemmings is driving forward now. Can he pick out a teammate? Forced to drop back for a moment, but he keeps a hold of the ball. Tries to play it for Buendia, just a little bit too much on it. I think if Buendia does get the ball, he's got a flying overlapping run from Martin, and Maggio picking out a great position there. That just shows the work rate of Martin, and for me, that's someone who we know he's a great player, but he's probably got a little bit to prove tonight, because with Lucas Digne gone, they haven't signed the left back. I can assume they'll sign one for competition, or maybe this is to be Unai Emery going, are you going to be my first choice, or do I need to replace you? What kind of left back am I going to bring in? So this is probably a big evening for the young fullback.
Yeah, of course, Digne's 33, so it's not a complete surprise that he's made way at this stage. So I'm always sure that Martin, part of their planning for the future was that he was probably at some point going to replace Digne. But as you say, you need two left backs, so I imagine that they will sign someone, whether that's sort of a direct competition or someone maybe just to warm the bench or to continue their development in sort of Martin's slipstream.
I think he's spot on with that one. What kind of left-back signing will it be? Well, he's been challenged now. Hakimi, ball into the box, just over the head of Akliouche. It'll fall for Mendes. Left-hand side of the penalty box. Can he pull it back to a teammate? He does for Kvaratskhelia. Slows it down, but my word, he takes on his man. Still going, pokes it back to Doué. He goes for a strike. It's blocked, but saved by Bizot. Took a bit of a few deflections as that ball came. It was a decent strike from Désiré Doué. Can't clear the lines here, can Villa do it? Back to Kvaratskhelia, cuts inside, goes for a strike, and my word, what a thunderous finish that was from Kvici Kvaratskhelia. They were getting momentum in this game with PSG. That strike from Doué that did take a deflection. Bizot with a great save that just couldn't clear the lines. Could Aston Villa? Yes, they cleared it away from the box, but not out of their own half. And then that ball to Kvaratskhelia, I know he's so two-footed, but he does want to go on his right. We all know that if he can. He cut inside, and I think what I thought, and maybe Bizot, is I thought he was going to curl it to the goalkeeper's left in the top corner. He curls it, but more to the near post. But he don't just curl it, he gets, as I say, thunderous strike on it. And I don't think there's anything Bizot can do about it. He gets maybe a fingertip on it, but it's still in the back of the net. Closing in on 20 minutes here in Austria, and it is now PSG who lead 1-0 against Aston Villa.
It's a great strike. Of course, there's always questions asked of the goalkeeper when it goes into the near post, and in all honesty, it's not exactly in the corner either, but you just saw from a replay behind there, his body weight, Bizot, was all going to the left, and that just meant he couldn't sort of redirect his body quick enough to get back over to that one. We also just saw maybe a little bit of inexperience telling there with Majido, the man, to lose the ball after that initial opportunity had gone begging. Sort of tried to hold it up in an area where it was just swarming with PSG midfielders. Looks like they've given it again away again here. And a free kick is given.
I thought there was a quick counter attack, but we cut back to live pictures as Charlie said so. But it's as you rightfully said, isn't it? That was a great picture from behind. You saw Bizot go to his left. And if we're being really honest about that, yes, he was outdone to his right, as you said. If he doesn't make that move to his left and Kvaratskhelia puts him top corner, you would say he looks silly for not doing it. It's just how you are as a goalkeeper, isn't it? Unfortunately, Kvaratskhelia gone. Mbappe does a lot. He cuts inside and he goes near post. So it kind of is that. I'm going to go here and puts the goalkeeper off. Well, now PSG lead 1-0 against Aston Villa. 22 minutes on the clock as I think you were spot on there about Maggio as well. It was a poor clearance. He got it all wrong, didn't he? Didn't get the jump right. He's a 17-year-old in a big moment, but he got that one wrong. Free kick for PSG, taken short to Nuno Mendes, who goes for a strike. Well, being closed down by João Gomez, but he drags that one well wide of the target there. Of course, Kvaratskhelia, former Napoli man, last season 20 goals and 12 assists across 55 games. So he played a lot of games for the Parisians. He spent half a season in 24-25 from signing from the Serie A side Napoli. So just over 18 months for the time he's had in Paris. Of course, as well, I spoke about, well, 55 games, that's a lot on the legs. He'll have had a full summer off, basically, well, 6 weeks, however you want to look at it. So I'm sure he'll be someone who can carry PSG for the foreseeable few months, while the likes of a Barcola, who might move on. Dembele, they've got a lot of minutes in the legs over the summer. That's another poor foul. And basically, in the same position, PSG have a free kick with Vitinha once again. They went short a few moments ago. A few short options as well, but they do have the likes of Pacho and Marquinhos in. They go short to the right-hand side to Doué. He's going to take it down the byline against Martson, pokes it into the penalty area. Martson comes away with the ball, but AILFC is too quick to get the second chance. They keep the attack alive. The PSG, they're hungry and they're searching for a second. Skelly takes it past João Gomez with ease, driving into the penalty area as he clipped at the heels. He goes down, a referee says no. Good tackle by the duo of Kamara and Cash, but once again, yes, they clear it out of the half. Well, they clear it out for a throw-in only. We might watch a replay back. You could just feel maybe that he was looking for it. Skelly. I think he's, as I say, I think he's looking for it. I don't think it's a penalty myself. How about yourself, Charlie?
No, I don't think so. There's just 3 Aston Villa players around him who marshalled him well. And I don't think there was necessarily any contact, really. He just sort of felt the pressure building up behind him and just thought there might be the opportunity to hit the deck. But no, good decision made there by the referee, Omar Abdulkadir Artan, who, of course, was in the news for all the wrong reasons this summer, not being allowed in to the US despite being cleared to referee. It would have been the first Somalian referee in the World Cup as well. So a nice sort of gesture from UEFA to get him over to do this game. I mean, I don't want to speak ill of the Super Cup, but I still feel that, any game in the World Cup, even an expanded one, is probably more important than this game. And hopefully, the opportunity comes for him one day in the future.
I'm sure UEFA might look at him for the Euros maybe and go, well, you're going to come to our competition and get always that good PR for UEFA. 25 minutes in, just over 25 minutes in, here come PSG. I'll hand over to Charlie in just a moment. Nuno Mendes flying down the left-hand side into the penalty area, pulls it back. Oh. No one in a blue and red jersey can get on the end of it. The attack continues with Doué, fizzes one into the box. Just over the head there of AILFC. McGinn picks it up, but Villa are struggling. 25 and a half minutes on the clock. PSG 1, Aston Villa 0. Unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary of all the action here in this Super Cup. Skelly's great clinical strike, the difference maker here. Should have maybe been 2-0 there to PSG, but I'll pass you over to Charlie to take us through to half-time.
Thanks, Lewis. Yeah, really clinical counter-attack there. It was a weird ball from Mendes, really, because in theory it's put right into the danger zone, but he somehow manages to find the sort of one line that could evade the 4 PSG attackers and go harmlessly out. So, given that, Aston Villa were really on their heels there, it's probably a wasted opportunity, but there is a little bit of possession here for Villa, back towards their own goal there, and herring down on them was Kvaratskhelia. They have managed to beat the press for now with a skin-headed Matty Cash flying down the right-hand side, and he does give the ball away eventually. His sort of opposite number on that flank, Nuno Mendes, cleans up. It's inside to Vitinha, and it's been a very patient display so far, I think, from PSG. Even the opportunity before that Kvaratskhelia one, that ball kind of went in back behind, and Nuno Mendes, he was just jogging up to it, and I was thinking, get on the end of that, but they're such a confident side, aren't they now, Lewis, that he knew that the area of the box would be at its best maybe a couple of seconds later, and he just almost sauntered up to it, and then it's just like they know they're going to score imminently, really, isn't it?
Oh, you spot on there, confidence of how many teams do we see go 1-0 up and sit back. PSG are the exact opposite. They go 1-0 up and they want more. But here come Villa.
Yes, Majido holding it up well, gets it out to John McGinn. He's going to try and curl one in. He does get back into Majido, and that was a good opportunity for the 17-year-old. It was really nice play from him, actually, and did well to help fashion the opportunity, held it up, and then knocked it over. Simple ball to McGinn, and to be honest, he's unmarked, gets between the 2 centre-backs, Pacho and Marquinhos, and probably should be putting it on target there.
When we cover these games, I don't think we ever like to say he should score, but I do think we should say he should get it on target. It's a difference, isn't it? If the goalkeeper saves it or anything, if you're a striker, just get it on target, do your job in that assessment. But as you say, it's a lovely hold-up play. Then he's classic striker movement. He's got, if you are Ruan Emery, what you would say is in about in the next 10 years of his play, he will score that over and over again, because he does the simple thing, but that's what you want to striker. Hold it up, play it out to the wing, get in the box and wait for a great delivery. And again, put it on his head. And again, I just feel that if that's a bit more of an experienced measure, he's probably putting that at the back of the net. As you say, could he do better and put it on target? I do think so. But for a 17-year-old with that type of play, I more look at it and go, the potential that he's got to score that over 30 times a season probably in the future, the potential there. And look, he might do that again, and he might put it in the back of the net later.
Yep, 193 centimetres at 17 already. You'd imagine that he could do a bit of growing, but they've given the ball away again. Aston Villa, Kvaratskhelia released down the left-hand side by Mendes, but there's a little bit too much on the pass, so he has to do a bit of jogging to the byline. Gets the cross in, but it's fairly harmless and chested back towards Bizot in goal. Yeah, I don't want to go too early on this, but even after half an hour, I just feel like Majido, the physical attributes do remind you of Romelu Lukaku with his back to goal. He's not just tall, he's such a wide presence, and the hold-up play already looks really good, but then he also can turn on the ball and just almost that Lukaku-like run where you've just got your head pointing straight at the ground, at the ball, not looking ahead of you, but just powering on. So look, there's certainly things to be excited about. Could he even grow a little bit further than this 6'4" that he already stands at? But yeah, at the same time, it's been a somewhat chastening half an hour for him, with missing that opportunity and giving the ball away for the opener.
Oh yeah, I think you're spot on there. 6'4", just double checking there of centimetres to foot. 17 years of age, as we speak about. January 12th, 2009. My word, that makes me feel old. And I'm one of the younger lads in the office. But yeah, but what it shows is, look, I know they're a bit lacking. Ollie Watkins might have started this game without a World Cup, or if England went out earlier. But you know what it's into, and Emery, look, you know what, you are going to get minutes this year, and maybe saying to him that, for example, I might replace Morgan Rogers, because we will need that. But to Ollie Watkins, we're going to bring another striker in. No, you're going to be my backup. You're going to be learning off of Ollie Watkins. You're going to be learning off these players. There's a lot of experience for him too. And Maggio's got all the tools in the box. I think you're right. Say he's 6'4" at 17. There's all the chance that by his maybe 21, maybe a 6'6", pushing 6'8" or something like that. He'd be an absolute monster of a striker if he isn't already. And he's got a chance here.
Yeah, good flick on by Majido. Back to his fellow youngster Hemmings, who gets a shot away but can't quite squeeze it past Pacho back there in defence for PSG, and they do manage to get the ball away for now. The referee blows up for a free kick against Aston Villa, so that little bit of pressure is withstood from Paris. Yeah, I mean, obviously you do think about the players that Aston Villa have lost this summer, and then you see Hemmings and Majido there in the first game in a European final, no less, and you think, do they need to delve further into the transfer market? But I was kind of remiss not to mention earlier that they have actually broken their record signing for an attacking midfielder, who I suppose will be the Rodgers replacement, Johan Manzambi. It's just a knee injury keeping him out of this one. And of course they have Garnacho on loan to deputise on that left wing as well, where Hemmings is currently stationed, as well as Gomez, who we've already mentioned. So of course, I'm sure they're in profit for the summer, as are PSG. Actually, they're in about 100 million euros of profit, are the Parisians. But still not necessarily with a massively weakened team. We just need to see how these players can bed in. But they are a team, they like to go for big established names, like people on loan like Rashford, Harvey Elliott, and of course now Garnacho. And those signings don't always necessarily work out, but they do make a lot of other signings that do work out.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's an opportunity, like say Rashford, it's an opportunity, isn't it, to what can they do? Jadon Sancho, very similar, you spot on with Garnacho. It's an opportunity in the market, isn't it, that if you would have said 4 years ago to Unai Emery, when Garnacho was just young and coming up, you're going to get him in a couple of years, he'd be thinking, oh my, well, what a player I'm going to get. Unfortunately, he's just not hit the heights that he would, but he's still, I think he's 22, he's the Argentine, so he's had a rough few years with Manchester United, going through a bad period, so I can't knock him for that. He was one of the bright sparks at Old Trafford as a ball falls for Hakimi, just good tackle there by Martson, and he wins the ball back. He's been really good against Hakimi so far. We spoke about that being a battle, but he's really stood up to that task. But yeah, right, it's opportunities in the market. I think Manzambi, Well, they beat his side Freiburg, and he had a great World Cup, and then he's joining the villains, isn't he? So again, I think it's an opportunity in the market. That's what you've got to do when you're Aston Villa. When you're chasing those Champions League sides, what can we get in the market that's a little bit undervalued? I look at the rumours of Miles Lewis-Skelly leaving. That's an opportunity in the market that you get for a little bit cheaper than what he's worth. And I think that's what Aston Villa and sides like that need to do to capitalise, to get better, is get players who are very, very good but for lower prices, and then increase the hierarchy of the team.
Yeah, as Lewis rightfully just mentioned, it was a 3-0 victory over Freiburg in the last Europa League final in Istanbul that ended a 30-year wait for a trophy for Aston Villa, and of course much longer wait for European triumph. It was their first ever Europa League, and then you've got to go back to the Champions League and Super Cup dual win in the early 80s. Before that, they finished second in the Europa League group stage for overcoming Lille, Bologna and Nottingham Forest on the way to the final. And surprised probably no one, did it? Unai Emery lifting that Europa League trophy. It's what he's made a career out of, but his team are well under the pump here, it's fair to say, with 33 almost 34 minutes gone of this first half. An official off-tube studio commentary, myself and Lewis Raftery. That's broken really nice for Hemmings after a nice little burk from Majido. He's got into the box, Hemmings, but he just loses his feet. He's sort of shown out wide by Mendes, but he keeps it. Majido, is he going to get a shot away? He does! Oh, and it just flashes past the far post. That was good play from the young duo. Majido managed to flick it through to Hemmings. He got the ball a little bit stuck in his feet at a crucial juncture, but still managed to keep the attack going. And then Majido with his second opportunity of the game. This was a lot more circumspect, but it was a decent effort.
It was. A great run from Hemmings. If I'm being really critical of the teenager, if he could have got his head up, that's a really good strike as well from the 17-year-old. He's trying to curl it, just doesn't get that curl, does he? He almost just hits it too centrally. If he could have got his head up Hemmings and seen McGinn, because Mendes flew over to Hemmings, if he could have held it up for a second and rolled it to McGinn, it's not easy, and I'm not saying it's the easiest option. But if he could have just, like I said, get his head up, see McGinn's there, kind of turn his back to the play, hold it up, and then roll it to his skipper, that would have been a big chance. But look, that just shows that because PSG do have an open style of play, Villa could easily get an equaliser and get goals this evening.
Yeah, they are coming forward again. PSG down the right hand side with Hakimi knocking it into Vitinha in the centre of the park. He finds Zaire Emery. Not got too many options in front of him at this present moment. Two of the attackers have sort of drifted out wide right, and then Kvaratskhelia hugging the touchline on the left hand side. It is back into Akaluche, the new signing, who's dropped really deep here, but then lays the ball off, continues his run. It went ignored, and then the ball is won close to the halfway line by Buendia. He thinks he should be awarded that throw in, but it has gone the way of Paris Saint-Germain, and they will get it restarted with Hakimi. He's also sporting a new hairstyle, I think, sort of got some tight ringlet curls. So the right backs switching it up for the new season. Pacho moves the ball along to Mendes on the left hand side. Neves has now, it's his turn to sort of hug that left touchline and let Kvaratskhelia move inside, and he's on the ball now. They're so fluid. This PSG team. He knocks it off to Doué, who nominally the striker, but there's another dropping really deep. Maybe you would say lacking a presence in that box right now to PSG. So many players out wide, and it's Kvaratskhelia and Doué now both on the right hand side. I think all three attackers are in about 20 metres of each other down that side, and then you've got the space sort of being held by Nuno Mendes on the left. They find him now. He's got about 10 yards in front of him. There's a simple pass into Vitinha, who finds Zaire Emery. He's taken his turn to move onto the left flank. Possession does eventually just go back to the centre-back, so maybe PSG just trying to control this until half-time now. About 10 minutes to go. That pass forward to Doué. It was a very late flag from the linesman on that right-hand side, but I'm sure it was the correct one. Of course, they have the semi-automated technology now. It was tight, but I think the referee, the linesman, decided that attack was going nowhere fast and decided to get that flag up.
Yeah, maybe Cash on the other side. I'd say very close. Watching the back, I think Cash maybe just keeps him on side. Definitely, it was a good piece of play by Markson to play him offside from his man. But you're right with PSG. I think there's a 1-0 up, aren't there? The less they want to get that second goal, but we've got the lead. Their terms of, as I said, when you see a lot of teams go 1-0 up, they sit back and they defend. PSG like the I like Guardiola, Barcelona, it's Luis Enrique, very similar type of philosophy of football. They want to go ahead then have possession, and that's how they control the game, don't they? They ask the questions of the opposition. So as you say, Doué's on the right, and then Kvaratskhelia is almost at right back, and then Hakimi's on the left hand side. It's so fluid, and I think you are right. They do miss a presence in the box, and Gonçalo Ramos was sold to Milan, wasn't he, for a good deal for PSG, don't get us wrong. But to have that option off the bench if not going right, you can just go, right, we've got an old school number 9 on, here we go. He was a saviour against Spurs, of course, wasn't he? So I think they will miss that, and they will need to bring that in. But of course, Ferran Torres is linked as well, isn't he? That's a deal that he can play again almost throughout the front three, so that's a bit of another player play right, left, centrally. But it's one of them, when it works, when this works, you think it's the best thing in the world, but sometimes watching you go, ooh, they are lacking maybe that number 9 presence.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they're committing to one philosophy and sort of, moulding their squad to that, and that isn't necessarily a bad thing. They've got really good money this summer for a couple of signings that it's fair to say just had never really worked out in this PSG team. They'll be happy to recoup the money that they have for Kolo Muani and for Gonçalo Ramos, and also for Kang-in Lee, all going to AC Milan, Juventus and Atletico Madrid respectively. So it's been good business by them. But yeah, then you look at the bench, obviously they've got Barcola and Dembele to come on. It's great quality, but they are wide players, and also you would think they'd probably be starting more often than not. It's funny actually looking at this bench for PSG. They've actually got as many defenders called Lucas as they have attackers on the bench. They've got 3 defenders called Lucas, 3 attackers. We're interested to see if we do see Luca Dean of those 3 come on. I'd be interested to know the reception as well in the Red Bull Arena for his presence, considering he's just left Aston Villa. Still prolonged PSG possession here in this one, moving towards the 40-minute mark, but they've given it away, and Buendia's moving forwards now. A little step over, Kvaratskhelia gets back and does defensive work, but it falls to Megido, gets a shot away, deflected away for a corner for Aston Villa, but PSG got caught napping there.
Yeah, it was a poor pass from Doué, wasn't it? Just a little bit nonchalant with his play. I thought it was great from Buendia, latches onto it fantastically. Then just unfortunately, he's a great player, Buendia, but he does lack that pace, doesn't he? Credit to PSG, they didn't get put on his back, didn't they? That's Skellier, the one who's actually gone down. He's saying that he's been fouled because when Buendia, he's blocked away, defended away by Pacho. As Buendia goes for the strike back, because the ball's gone, he does whack Kvaratskhelia. I don't think it's a foul, right? So it's a corner. Good counter-attack. Look, it's resulted in a corner for Villa as well.
Yeah, and it'd be Buendia himself going over to take it. It's drilled in towards the near post, but it doesn't get over the first man, and considering that one's Vitinha, you have to say that's a pretty poor corner, but Aston Villa still have it and begins to really well there, and another headed opportunity for Megido. It's another perfect delivery on the right hand side by McGinn, who did well to even create the space to get that ball across, and Megido, that might have been the best of the lot for the youngster.
That's the one that's, because he doesn't head it correctly, does he? The first one he just said doesn't get it on target. What another great delivery from McGinn. That's one that he puts his head down too soon, doesn't he? If he just keeps his head up and nods it in with his forehead, that's in the back of the net. That's one apiece. That's the one where you would say that's the one I think should have been in the back of the net than the first one. I thought the first one was great play, great cross, great movement. Could he have done better? Yes. That's the one where, like I said, I don't always like to say you should score, but that's one that you just keep low. The keeper's got no chance. But Villa, they've won a free kick as well here through Buendia, foul by João Neves. They are building a little bit of momentum in the last few minutes.
Buendia's just come alive, hasn't he, in these last 4 or 5 minutes, and they're looking a better side for it, are Aston Villa. Megido, a young from Luxembourg, actually. I don't see many footballers from that tiny country, but yeah, he's so tall, it's almost like he overjumped it. He had to stoop low to get it, and it wasn't even like he jumped that high in the air. It's just the size of the man. It's coming back post again. The ball's bouncing around still. A couple of saves from Safonov, and he eventually manages to get it under control. Was headed towards Megido again. I think it wasn't actually him that got the shot away, and then the rebound came back out to Camara, and Safanov did well to pick himself back up and then dive on the loose ball.
To say that PSG have had a very good first half, I'm not saying they haven't, but they're the ones who want the half-time whistle in just under 5 minutes, 42 and a half minutes on the clock. Villa are really hammering them at the moment, putting some good stuff on in the forward areas. Just can't really still. They just are lacking a bit of a final finish to the game. And again, if you are being uber critical, if there's Ollie Watkins on the field, it's probably 2-1, isn't it? That's if buts and maybes. But I think even if they're going, let's play devil's advocate, a couple of minutes left, 1-0 half time for PSG, I think Unai Emery will sit there and say, we can get at them in the second half. We've got a lot of opportunities to go at them and find chances in the second half. I mean, what I would say is Ollie Watkins isn't on the bench. Tammy Abraham would probably have eaten up those chances, and I wouldn't be surprised if Abraham did come on early. It's a good header down. Watch that chance back for Torres. It's a great header from Marquinhos. He's the one off the line, and it's just a bit of a scramble by PSG. They are struggling at the moment, and Villa are looking hungry for an equaliser.
It's testament to how high the stocks of Majido have shot up in this pre-season for him. If he's starting this game with Tammy Abraham on the bench, they come forward again. He's going to get another opportunity here. He beats past the defender Pacho, gets the shot away. Pacho, I think, based on the reaction of Safanov in goal, I think might have been able to get a block on that, even though he'd been put to the ground by Majido, just absolutely bodied him. There was another brilliant ball played through by Buendia, and Mendes just enough to put him off, I think, even though he falls to the ground, manages to get a bit of contact on it, push him onto that left foot, and he actually strikes the base of the post. But he's getting close, isn't he, Majdo? Like, you do feel like he might be able to get one.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it should have been a corner as well. That did come off Safanov, then off the post, as you rightfully say. That should have been a corner. It was such an awkward angle that I think he just does his best to, can I get a strike off that he saves? Can I win a corner out of this? It's really good play. I say, Pacho is no small individual, is he? And he was absolutely bullied at 24. He's 6'2", he's Pacho. He's a big centre-back. And he was bullied. That was like looking at different weight classes or something, wasn't it, there, between the two? But here comes Villa again.
Yeah, McGinn playing it to Hemmings, who's drifted out onto the right-hand side. Back to McGinn. He's going to get another good cross in with the foot, and he's got it in! And maybe the fifth or sixth opportunity. Majido has his goal. He leaps high in the air in celebration. I tell you what, it's been a tough first half for the youngster, but he deserved that. And John McGinn deserved that assist as well. He's third or fourth brilliant delivery he's put in from the right hand side, and finally the young striker manages to get the proper connection on one. And we were just saying he's got a goal in this game if he keeps his head down, and a minute later he gets it right on the stroke of half time. There's only been a minute added on. We're already halfway through, and PSG 1, Aston Villa 1.
What a finish that is as well. That is lovely attacking positioning, right place, right time, as you said as well. Lovely balling from McGinn. It's just great play on this right-hand side. There's no one closes him down. Hemmings back to McGinn, takes that touch, gets his head up. It's a lovely curling ball. And it's not just sticking a left foot out open the best. It's that he knows, if I can get a connection with this, he's not doing it out of, just stick a leg out this over the best. He's doing that, but with the intense finish on it as well. There's nothing Safanov could do. Once again, Pacho, my word. Again, that's not bad defending. That's just Macho being too big and too strong. And he deserves that goal, as you rightfully say. Those two-headed chances, they were fantastic ones, especially the second one. But that Portuguese. He's not just 6'4", big, strong, and can get in positions. He's also got that little finesse to him there with that instinct of positioning and finishing. And well, PSG, I said they needed the half-time whistle. Now they'll go in one apiece. Villa will be over the moon in the last 10 minutes of the first half, pushing into the second.
Yeah, it's been the Majido show in this first half, no doubt. A whole host of chances missed, and of course gave the ball away for the opener for PSG as well. But right on the stroke of half-time, he's got his goal, and he's put his team back on parity with the European champions. They might get one more opportunity here. John McGinn has beat his man. He's herring down on goal. There's 4 or 5 players to choose from. He takes his time, gets the ball across, just can't find any of those bodies in light blue in the area. Referee's still not blown up. Maatsen now coming forward. He's got the big Majido on his outside, and Majido plays it back to Torres. Is he going to be able to get one last ball in? Now Maatsen is back trying to do just that, but he's dispossessed by Hakimi. That's been a good battle so far. Vitinha plays the ball backwards and the referee decides that's a good time to call 1-1. So an engrossing first half that PSG have unsurprisingly dominated possession, but more shots on goal actually for Aston Villa, and they got a deserved equaliser just on the stroke of half time. PSG 1, Aston Villa 1.
Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, 1 apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, 1 apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, 1 apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, 1 apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, 1 apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, 1 apiece. half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia, a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia, a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia, a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia, a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia, a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia, a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia, a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia, a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia, a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia, a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the first half. Half-time, one apiece. Half-time in Salzburg, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1 in the Super Cup. PSG were impressive in the opening 30 minutes or so, and it was Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, sending Bezo the wrong way. Weight was to his left, went his near post. Great finish by the Georgian. Aston Villa had some great chances for Brian Maggio, the 17-year-old. Third time was the charm with a great strike in the last few minutes of the And it is a warm welcome back to second half coverage of the Super Cup between PSG and Aston Villa. Unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary of all the action from Salzburg in Austria. It's PSG 1, Aston Villa 1. A confident opening 25-30 minutes or so for the Champions League holders. They took the lead on the stroke of the 20th minute mark. Kvaratskhelia with a thunderous strike, open up his body as if he was going to curl it to the left of Bezo, and then he made his movement, gave him the eyes almost, as you would say, then cut inside to the near post, and as I say, it was hit with some thunderous power from the former Napoli winger, giving PSG a 1-0 lead. Villa did grow into the game as it went on in the first half, and ended it very well. Young forward Brian Maggio with some really big chances from headers that he put wide, but a great chance, almost the last kick of the first half for the only 17-year-old. What a absolute beast of a forward is the best way I could describe it. And he absolutely bodied William Pacho. Great defending from the PSG defender, but just too big and too strong was young Maggio. Great ball in from McGinn, found him at the back sticks. Great first time finish, just the movement was exceptional, the timing, the presence, and it is PSG 1, Aston Villa 1. PSG have made a substitution, and it's in an attacking area as well. Akliouche is off, and Ousmane Dembele, the current Ballon d'Or holder, is on in place of him. So still, as we were speaking in the first half, not out and out number 9, but Dembele does play more centrally than Akliouche, but possibly Doué on the right, Kvaratskhelia off the left. That's the only change in the half-time period. So I'll take you through the 11s in just a moment. PSG have a throw-in on the right-hand side. Actually, no, it's been given as a free kick for the Parisians. It's myself, Lewis Raftery, joined by Charlie O'Brien, take you through all the action this evening in Austria. Will it be back-to-back wins for PSG, or will Villa win their second Super Cup in close to 40 plus, pushing 50 years, of course, and Unai Emery getting a bit of revenge on his former employers. Well, forward to Hakimi, cleared away by Martin. He's been very good up against the Moroccan, and Doué, he's been very good defensive, more known for his attacking output as a former Dortmund loanee, but Martin's been exceptional this evening for me. He's got defending to do once again. Ball out to Hakimi. He's got Doué on his underlap, uses the young Frenchman. Well defended by Hemmings, and he just is too big and too strong, is Hemmings. Well, Maggio's going to take all the plaudits and headlines, of course, with that goal in the first half. Lovely played hold up there. He wins a free kick. He's definitely that quote-unquote blessed and has that professionalism way beyond his years. But Hemmings has a very good game as well, only 19 years of age. Dewey looking for a penalty there. It's never a penalty for me. As I say, it's myself, Lewis Raftery, joined by Charlie O'Brien. And as I said, the first 25-30 minutes, PSG were very good, dominating, in control. Then Villa just started to get those chances and started to begin, got that space down the right-hand side. PSG struggled late on in the first half. Where do you see the second half going?
Yeah, it was a weird one from PSG, to be honest, because they got control, and then we were just talking about how they're just in the mould of Pep Guardiola or Luis Enrique, has been doing it long enough for now for you to not have to mention Guardiola when you're talking about him. But we were talking about, they'll probably just control the game from here, but they just kept letting Aston Villa back in with a little bit of complacency, just giving the ball away deep inside their own half, and maybe not necessarily pushing as far aggressively forwards as they should either, as the cross ball pass is attempted out to Zaire Emery, and he does keep it in.
He does. He's got space on the right hand side, one-on-one against Martson, cuts it back to Hakimi, and it finds its way to Dewey. It's to poke it back to Vitinha. He had a bit of a pop shot in the first half. He does like a shot from range. Skelly looking for the run there of Vitinha, but he gone offside and pulled back, looking for that short pass, but Skelly played it into the box. Looking for that run from the Portuguese midfielder. Quickly then, Safanov in goal for the Parisians. At four of Hakimi, skipper Marquinhos, Pacho and Mendes. Midfield three of Zaire Emery, Vitinha and João Neves, with Dembele, Doué and Kvaratskhelia. Forward three, we've got to do some defending now. Ball forward for Maggio to the right hand side. He's got McGinn, picks out his skipper, takes it on his left boot, goes for a striker goal. Forces a great save from Safanov. Lovely curling effort from McGinn. I thought he just got it caught on his feet. Few heavy touches, but he did exceptionally well. Did the Scottish winger there to pick that out. A foul there by is that Pau Torres. I'm just looking at Doué's the man who's gone down. I actually think he's given a yellow card. Is the official to one of the Aston Villa coaches on the bench for their reaction, and then he's going to yellow card the Villa defender. So as I say, it looks like it was Pau Torres. I will wait for full confirmation of who the yellow card's gone for. It definitely is Torres who makes a foul on Doué. I think the yellow card's a little bit harsh. I think it's a heavy challenge. It doesn't go two-footed or full-blooded in there. So yellow card for Pau Torres on someone on the Aston Villa bench. The official very much making that aware before even probably Pau Torres already got away with one there, if we're being honest. But going back to that attack there for Brian Maggio, again, that just doesn't show that he's all youngster wants to score. He brings McGinn in fantastic. The ball could be a little bit better. I'm not going to try and be critical on that. But he gets his head up. He looks for his man. That's really important. McGinn, I think he could do better with how he started before the shot, but the shot was a great one. Forced a great save from Safanov.
Yeah, it's getting to the point now where I think you could probably argue that those pair, along with Kvaratskhelia, have been the best three players on the pitch. Maggio and McGinn up there have just been absolutely running the show. And you saw, as you say, all the elements to his game. Got on the halfway line or thereabouts. He instantly knocked it back selflessly to a midfielder, but then just continued his run into acres of space. He was clean through on goal. And it wasn't like, the pass was straight into his feet as well. It was hit with venom, and he showed real pace to get on the end of it. And then you think, is he going to have the awareness to play the right ball to McGinn? He does. And then McGinn, probably the first foot he's put wrong all evening, with just a slightly wrong first touch on that left foot that didn't just open it out for him to wrap his preferred boot around it. So promising stuff again for Aston Villa, really. PSG have had the better of these opening 7 minutes, but they look so dangerous on the counter now to Villa.
They found a bit of rhythm though, sitting back. They've found sometimes Villa do that, don't they? I think in how they like to sit back and counter and play out that they do. I think just take a bit of time to find rhythm against sides, find their rhythm to the other sides, and then Villa do kind of just find their way throughout the rest of the game. With the first big chance of the second half going the way of the skipper. We've also seen McGinn from those kind of efforts hit it first time on his left boot. I thought he could have, I'm not saying it'd be an easy finish, my word, it would have been a quality goal. Would have definitely rivaled that of Kvaratskelia's in a long range effort sense, but if McGinn would have hit that first time, wrapped his left boot around it, had momentum on it from the pass from Maggio, so that would have been an opportunity. Right hand side with Doué. Hakimi's in an offside position. Pau Torres is trying to say, as the full confirmation, Torres does pick up the yellow card from a Villarreal man, that Hakimi was in offside position, but referee having none of it. One welcome if you are joining. It is unofficial Independence off-tube studio commentary. All the action, Super Cup between PSG and Aston Villa from Salzburg, Austria. One apiece. Looking at the stats, 4 shots, 2 on target for PSG, 11 shots for Aston Villa, with only 3 on target. I'm not a big... I know everyone doesn't love XG, and I'm not saying I'm a big lover of it either, but I can imagine a couple of Maggio chances have been very high in XG. Nice first time pass into Kvaratskhelia, pokes it forward for Dembele, very well read there from Lindelof. Heavy pass into Kamara, he loses the ball, poked back in for Dembele, tries to take it past his man, well defended by Cash and Torres. And Dembele just trying to find his way in the second half. First few touches, you feel maybe someone who's a bit more fit and firing probably takes that maybe even first time, and has a strike at Bizot. He's on the ball now, goes long looking for Maggio and Hemmings. Well, it's awkwardly dealt with by Hemmings in the end. He does well to come over the ball from Zaire Emery. Hemmings back to João Gomes, now into Buendia. João Gomes now on the ball, I should say it was Buendia. I think he's been in all the best ways. We haven't mentioned him, but that's what you want from a defensive midfielder. The less you mention them, probably the better of a game that they're actually having. A 7 out of 10 every single time, and I think for the money that they got for him, that's an excellent signing. Poor pass in the middle from Martson, looking for Kamara. Doué lets it run and plays it first time for Dembele. Back to Doué, the two Frenchmen link up. Back to Doué, pulls it back, well intercepted, but still falls for Hakimi. Doué, there's too many players there. They're getting each other's way in the end. Put forward, heavy touch from Vitinha. Buendia tries to come away with it, but Marquinhos sweeps up Vitinha. Well, he wants to go back to his goalkeeper. Hits it off the backside of Marquinhos almost. And Marquinhos will find Safanov in the PSG goal. And they do this a lot. I mean, we spoke about a lot in the first half, Charlie, of how fluid PSG are. But in this second half, at least from a base point of view of formation, the right back seems to be Zaire Emery to me, and Hakimi a little bit further forward. Kvaratskhelia coming forward down the left, so I'll bring Charlie in just a moment. Mendes, short for Zaire Emery, goes for a strike, takes a couple of deflections, but into the arms, welcoming arms of Marco Bizot in the Villa goal. But it seems to be more in that first half you spoke about it. Kvaratskhelia, that forward three were on that right hand side, and the triangle almost weren't there, and then João Neves was on the left hand side. But Zaire Emery's been on that right hand side, ball forward. Mendes and McGinn coming together. I thought they had arms all over each other, but Mendes did bring McGinn down for me. The referee says absolutely not. There's a good intensity and tempo to this second half. Ball put through, looking for Dembele. Great interception by Lindelof, and the game is very much open here. Buendia just can't get his dribbling there right. Looking to pick out Maggio to the left hand side, and goes back to Safanov. It's been a great start to the second half. I've tried to bring him back 2 or 3 times, Charlie, not being able to. But it's been very frantic and so far very high tempo.
Yeah, absolutely end to end, and it's hard to know whether that suits either side really. I think it maybe just suits us, the viewer and the neutral, and we'd hopefully continue to have a really exciting second half. My initial thoughts on the half got cut short by an opportunity. That's just kind of been the nature of this frantic start to the second 45. But what I was going to say is I thought that PSG would eventually sort of find a gear that Aston Villa just can't reach, and that may still well happen, but so far Villa really holding their own. You're right to point out Hakimi playing a really advanced role, and he's trying to get on the end of again here. Can he keep it in? He does.
He's got a chance, tries to float one to the edge of the area, trying to pick out João Gomes. It only goes back to once where it came from with Hakimi, but that's what we're saying. And Charlie's right, it's almost at Zaire Emery. He's playing that right central midfield role, but he's not going to go forward as much. Gives Hakimi all the licence in the world to go forward from right to left quickly into Kvaratskhelia. 1-on-1 with Cash. McGinn comes over to support. Kvaratskhelia still has the ball, tries to poke one out to the edge of the area. Great play there from Buendia, and now Villa are going to drive forward. Maggio, well, he's got Buendia to his left, but he still needs a bit more support. Holds it up and just does well to hold it up and not lose the ball. Plays it back though. A little bit lackadaisical there. I'd have to say, from McGinn. I think he's going to get the throw-in, though. He gets a thumbs up, does McGinn, to the rest of his team for great hold-up play. Just watching this chance for the first time back now from McGinn. He takes a slight deflection off Pacho as well. So that won't have held Safanov in the slightest. That might have helped McGinn, though. Strong save from the PSG shot stopper there. Once again, it's the little things to me that Maggio's really impressing me. I believe there's, as we are back underway from that said Aston Villa throwing, looking to go straight away. He's doing the simple things, holding it up, picking out the right passes. Martson on the left-hand side continues to drive. He's got Hemmings, ball into the box. He's into a dangerous position. Safanov has to get a touch on it, and then Mendes clears his lines and out for a throw-in. That's one of them where I feel that's in the corridor of uncertainty, but it is a little bit too much too close to the goalkeeper. There's a little bit more curl on that. There might have been an opportunity for Maggio to get on at the end of it. Matty Cash on the right-hand side of a throw. It might be a long one. The big 6'4" forward in there. They're going to look for him. Pacho heads it away to the edge of the area. Not cleared entirely. João Gomez picks it up, out to Cash on the right-hand side. Fizzes one in. The header is over the bar. It's for Buendia. A decent ball in. Unfortunately, Buendia is just a little bit behind it there. It goes high and wide over the bar. He did score a header, did Buendia, late on last season. I think, if I'm right, was the game where they scored late and nothing came of it. So we know for a shorter midfielder, he does have a good heading ability on him there. But I think, as you said, the game's not got. No one's in control of the game right now. It's a little bit back and forth. PSG are open, so Aston Villa are open as well. And at the moment, you just feel whenever either side go forward, you could see a goal with any chance, really. Yep,
still Maggio and McGinn causing all the problems for Aston Villa down the right-hand side. Hemmings is growing into it, though. I think he's not had the quite the impact of a Maggio, but he's shown some good, nice, composed dribbling forwards. I think at times sort of glided forwards like Morgan Rogers used to for them. Maybe where he's been lacking a little bit is that decisiveness that Rogers offered, or maybe a little bit slower as well. But that was a really nice ball played, that last opportunity to Safanov, who kind of flapped at it actually.
Ball in behind for Doué, looks well offside. The play will continue. Doué puts a great strike in the back of the net, and then the linesman flag does go up. I know that's the rule to play on, and the linesman done that to a T. I just thought it was poor from Dembele, if I'm honest, because Doué he's well offside. Cash a little bit further back than the rest of his back line, but I also feel that yes, Doué, it was that everyone felt. Doué felt it was probably offside. Aston Villa felt it was offside. I don't have a quick look at it. There is having a goal check. I think he's well offside, at least from the one replay I've seen. Not myself, Charlie. I thought it was a poor pass from Dembele to play it that late.
Yeah, he's usually quicker than that, Dembele, and we've already seen he's got a good understanding with Doué as well since he came on. So he should have played that earlier, I think, as well. Yeah, Doué, he just didn't even try and celebrate. He just spanned right around to the linesman and didn't seem surprised at all when he saw that the flag was up. But it's not the first time in this game that Matty Cash has not been really adhering to that offside trap, and he's potentially got his team in a little bit of trouble. Have they given this?
They have given the goal, so apologies. We've only seen one replay. From the replay, Matty Cash did have a left leg that was stretched out, but for me, Doué was well offside. As we say, we've seen one replay. I mean, credit to UEFA, the Champions League Super Cup. They have the great automated system, don't they? So we do get quick results, but my word, I do feel, and you should always play to the whistle, that's what we are taught, of course, but I do feel that Aston Villa defence for a moment did just switch off because they thought this is well offside, doesn't matter what goes on. Unai Emery, though, well, let's be quite fair, he will say that doesn't matter, we should play to the whistle there. Aston Villa have been on top, I'd say, just a little bit more than PSG in this second half. Watching the ball through here, I mean, he's close for me, but they've given us onside, so it doesn't matter. I think it's maybe more the run, but you are right. Cash did it in the first half, didn't he? From Doué, Martson played him off, and Doué was, I think, even looked on in that first half situation. It's a great finish from Doué. I won't take that away from him. He passes it in the back of the net, but the Villa players are very slow to get back, very quick to look to the linesman, and his flag does go up. We get to see the VAR slow motion and the the automated decision very quickly given though. And PSG, look, they will take that, but Villa, they will also have, there's a lot of fight left in Villa in this game. Just over an hour played, it's 2-1 to PSG. Here come Aston Villa looking for a response. Ball into the box, Hemmings, strike is saved. They haven't cleared it though just yet. Martson bobbles up for him awkwardly, and PSG will come away with the ball. Well, could they go and get a quick fire second and go 3-1 up here? Do it. Still going forward as he brought down there by João Gomez. Yes, he is. It'll be a yellow card for the former Wolves man. Well, what a response that would have been. Hemmings, it's great play from Aston Villa. Just unfortunately, yes, he gets a lot behind it, but it's straight at the goalkeeper.
Yeah, that was his first opportunity in the game, in fairness, but he didn't take it really cleanly at all. It was it would have been an incredible story. It obviously still might happen if both of these youngsters managed to get on the score sheet after you maybe initially thinking that they were just there making up the numbers. Well, a couple of those players coming back from the World Cup still just need a bit more time. Oh, it's a hair's breadth. It's the elbow of Doué's the furthest forwards compared to the sort of outstretched boot of Matty Cash. But I think it started to make a little bit more sense when we saw that second replay and you actually noticed the angle that camera is at. I think your brain always plays tricks on you and just assumes it's relatively straight, and often that's not the case. But yeah, the technology without a doubt proving there that was onside.
Well, Doué now, he's dancing, almost trying to get forward. Dembele dinks one into the box looking for João Neves, hooked away by Martson. As we said earlier, though, look, PSG take the lead and they look to go and get 3 or 4. That's what they will want to do. So we're not in a position where, this is no offence to any team, where a lot of teams at this position might go 2-1 ahead and just defend and try and see out a game. Atalanta rings a bell in my head for some reason. Semi-final of a World Cup, but I won't go there, as a lot of us do. 65 minutes on the clock. PSG 2, Aston Villa 1. Well, that's a poor pass in the middle from Dembele. Kamara forward to Hemmings. Heavy touch, and he does clip Hakimi there, so the referee, I think, is just going to play advantage. PSG happy with a free kick or to play on. And this is a time of the game, and I say this more just because I'm not saying players won't be fit, but we are still. It feels pre-season, doesn't it? We're still early doors. We're not even really in the middle of August yet. We've got another week and a half until the Premier League starts, and League One to take a while from that as well. You've got to maybe look at your benches, but here comes Nuno Mendes driving forward. One man Army looks to play it to the right-hand side to Doué. Well intercepted there at the back. That's a poor pass from Buendia, and PSG pick it up. Well, they've got a bit of confidence after that goal. Great tackle there, ball over the top looking for Maggio. A lot of goalkeepers, well, he would have got to that ball, but Safanoff alert. Great sweeper keeping there, just full confirmation of that yellow card for João Gomez. And is this a point of the game where both managers will have to look to the benches?
Yeah, I imagine so. I hope Maggio can come off, because he's been, probably the most entertaining part of the game. You look at the, embarrassment of riches really on the bench for PSG in terms of Bradley Barcola. They've got Fabian Ruiz as well. We've got Lucas Hernandez, Digne. So all around, they've actually got a goalkeeper called Lucas as well. So that's 4 defensive players on the bench called Lucas or Luca for PSG. But to be fair, it's not looking too bad either for Aston Villa. Probably not of the same calibre, but you do have people like Tammy Abraham and Ross Barkley who can come on and affect a game. Tammy Abraham has got a late goal in him. We've seen that last season. But they're definitely not out of this, and I think it's a mark of respect really for Maggio that they just seem to be playing increasingly speculative balls out towards him, because they know that he has the ability to get on the end of them. So already you see the confidence in him as a player is already growing amongst his team. Maybe there's more stories maybe not written for him just yet today, but PSG, you could see quite easily a world now where they pull away, get to a couple of extra goals, end up 3 or 4-1 up. Just Aston Villa having to try and force the issue, and they're just going to leave gaps that probably PSG better than anyone in the world at the minute at exploiting.
No, I think it's well. I think if anything, with Maggio, I'd probably keep him. I'd put him and Abraham up top and kind of go. They're both big players, but he's not quote unquote old school target man. It's just my word, the physicality. That would be an impressive sight to see, and probably put maybe Buendia off the left, take Hemmings off. That's no offence to him. It's a youngster, as you say. Usually, I think Unai Emery probably would take Maggio off in any other circumstances. Then he's been probably our best attacking player on the pitch. So you have to think. McGinn was at the World Cup. Is he fully fit to see out 90? I'm sure the Villa skipper will. So there's a lot of questions to go as we are on this game. Nuno Mendes just went off for a moment. But he's back on the field now. Thought he might have had to go off again. Another player for Portugal with the likes of Neves and Vitinha that were involved in said World Cup. Doué, Zaire Emery, a lot of names, of course. So I think that's where you might see useful like Lucas Digne coming onto the field of play. That might be for a Nuno Mendes replacement. 1-2. Can they find Hemmings down the left-hand side? Bit of a shove there on Hakimi, who's never getting there, so I think the referee might have given the free kick, or he might just say, look, it's going to be a goal kick anyway, so you decide between you two. And I think from an Aston Villa point of view, they're probably sat there thinking, all right, it's offside anyway. But Doué, as you rightfully said, he probably thinks he's offside because he looks straight at the corner, like the linesman, doesn't he? So he does ever so well to keep his head, keep his cool, and put that in the back of the net. Seeing the chance back from Hemming, from the response basically from kick-off for Villa. As I say, great save from Savanoff because he stands up strong. But I feel if he can pick out a corner there, make the keep work the difference. It was just unfortunately straight at the PSG shot-stopper.
Yeah, it was not a great opportunity, not a great shot by Hemming in all honesty. But still, bright game for the youngster, no doubt. And they've functioned fairly well as a team, Villa, which I think will be pretty heartening considering some of the big names missing. And of course, you know, the goalkeeper, they've still got one of the best goalkeepers in the world to come back. Not that it's been like awful goalkeeping by Bezo, either of the two goals. Maybe the first one you could throw a little bit of blame his way, but you know, they've still got their first choice striker to come. It looks like they are readying a couple of changes. Yeah, they actually had a few players, did Villa, be it Konsa, Watkins and Martinez, all still missing, I think. Basically, I imagine entirely because of their delayed start to pre-season. They both played, well, they all played, you know, their teams at least, the maximum amount of games that they could have done in that World Cup just gone. So they've lost some key players, but they've still got quality to come back into this side, Villa, no doubt, and they certainly haven't disgraced themselves so far against the best team in Europe.
I don't know, they haven't, not at all. And as you said, lineup looks like a triple substitution coming up in just a moment for Villa. But I think, as you said, this just shows that 10-15 years ago, it was very, very rare that the Europa League winner beats the Champions League winner. Almost a foregone conclusion. Unai Emery's never beat the Champions League. He's won the Europa League 4 times, as we've already spoke about. This is his 5th attempt at the Super Cup. Well, he's never won it before. This evening, strike from Nuno Mendes is saved. Kvaratskhelia on the rebound, misses it. Dembele still in a dangerous area, but Pau Torres coolly and calmly deals with it, still has it dribbling out. But that just shows how close now it is between winners in the likes of the Europa League and the Champions League. It's so much closer in the last 10 years. The quality of those Europa League sides is absolutely beyond belief. Here come Aston Villa. McGinn looks for the overlapping run of Cash, but it's well defended by Pacho. He's fighting for the ball, is McGinn. Nuno Mendes, I think Nuno Mendes is probably done. But he's asking for Bezo to stretch him out. He was looking at him going, hey, help me, please. I'm in some pain here. Can you just stretch me out? So Nuno Mendes, his evening's probably done and dusted in just a few moments. But there will be a triple change coming the way of Aston Villa. And unfortunately, the player we wanted to see continue will be going off. Maggio, the goal scorer for Aston Villa, he is off. And Tammy Abraham is on in place of him. Sure, I saw a number 8 as well going off in Kamara, with Bogard coming on for him, and then just waiting on confirmation of the third change. As I said, PSG might have to make a sub as well. As McGinn is the number 7, he's coming off the field of play as well. So Maggio, Kamara, McGinn off, Abraham, Alisson and Bogard are on in place of them. We spoke about McGinn, of course. He played in the World Cup with Scotland. He'll be a bit fitter than the likes of a couple of other players that went a little bit further in the competition, but he did put a good foot forward in North America. So triple change for Villa. PSG might be preparing one, but we are just a few minutes over halfway through this second half. 73 minutes into this clash in Salzburg, Austria. Super Cup, PSG 2, Aston Villa 1, unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary of all the action as McGinn picks up a yellow card as he leaves the field of play. But to take us through to full time and who knows what, I'll pass you over to Charlie.
Thanks, Lewis. Yeah, McGinn, I think, picked up a knock in that last pre-season game as well, actually, so there was doubts about whether he'd even be fit for this one. So I imagine with both him and Maggio, it was kind of always decided that they were going to come off at some point. But straight away, early intervention from Alisson. The shot comes in from number 35, Gomez. It's finally got away by PSG. It was a bit of a scramble back there, and all of a sudden they look really lively again. Villa. Maatsen was battling there with Zaire Emery, but he does really well in the end, the number 33 for PSG, to marshal that one away and gets the adulation of his teammates. But it was an instant impact from Alisson. Drove forwards, managed to get the ball across the byline. Safonov, not for the first time today, sort of gets some on it, but not enough to completely stop the danger. We're seeing a replay of McGinn. He ran forwards to stop a early sort of free kick attempt by Safonov. I think he hadn't quite left the pitch. I don't know whether he's saying either the linesman hadn't flagged yet or, I wasn't off the pitch, so he shouldn't be restarting. But he just sort of ran in the direction of the PSG goalkeeper and instantly got a card for it. So we're seeing changes ready now for PSG, and it's Neves that is going to make way for Ruiz in the centre of the park. So that's a like for like, you would probably say, substitution, and it did seem like Nuno Mendes was going to make way as well. And they don't go with Luca Dean, they go with Lucas Hernandez instead. So the boos or cheers either way have been averted for now by getting Hernandez on. I was actually surprised by just how much more kind of football Luca Dean played than the Hernandez brothers in the back end of the World Cup. He seemed to get on the pitch an awful lot. You consider how many options they have back there. Not to say that Luca Dean isn't a very talented player, but of course 33 years of age now. But regardless, maybe that late involvement in the World Cup will mean that we don't see him. We don't see the cameo that I think we all want to see as neutrals against his very recently former team. PSG looking to bring it away, still under pressure from Aston Villa. Kvaratskhelia does well to withstand that pressure, and then looks like there's a yellow card coming in the direction of one of these Villa players because Kvaratskhelia is rolling around on the floor. It seemed like it was an off-the-ball incident actually after he'd just unloaded it. He was clutching his right ankle. The referee got his card out, didn't actually see if he brandished it to anyone. The cameras are focusing in on Tammy Abraham, and it was him, just caught him late after Kvaratskhelia got the ball away.
Yeah, it's not even malicious if anything, it's him, he turns away and it's just he plants his foot on the left ankle of Kvaratskhelia. It's a foul and painful one for the goal scorer of PSG's opener, but yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate, isn't it? Let's be quite fair. He's actually going in and lunging in at him, as we say. Looks like the referee was getting a yellow card out, but I don't know if that was because it was more pressure. If he would have done that because Fabian Ruiz was asking for it, it's never a yellow card for me. So went on full confirmation of that. But look, what I like about Villa is it's fresh legs in attacking areas, isn't it? They're going to try and go for it. Tammy Abraham, Maggio's been really impressive, but look, we know that Abraham's bread and butter is he will probably sit there and go, if you create those chances that you created for that 17-year-old, I'll finish them as well. So he'll probably be thinking that Bogard, he was ever impressive whenever called upon for Villa last year, especially when Kamara was injured. He played it right back a few times as well, impressed by him. So Unai Emery getting the best out of his squad. He can, and I think what we spoke about earlier, this isn't a fully fit Aston Villa, as you spoke about, missing a Manzambi, missing a Garnacho, missing a Watkins, so on and so forth. So to take PSG to even what they have, and who knows, they might get another goal, and so that'll be impressive. But here comes Kvaratskhelia.
Yep, down the right hand side, he's got two men for company, manages to just squeeze it through the legs of Matty Cash, but there was enough of deflection on the Polish right back to keep it from going into danger. You see, Roberto Martinez is one of the hospitality members in attendance. Looks pretty squeezed in there between the two men either side of him. But yeah, Maggio, I mean, brilliant performance from him, regardless of whether he was 17 or not, and I won't take that away from him, but you're right to point out the comparison with Tammy Abraham. Maggio, he took 5 shots in this game, more than anyone else on the pitch, I believe, and you remember those chances. They were all pretty much gilt-edged opportunities. It wasn't pot shots. He only actually managed to get one of those on target, and that was the goal. There was at least another couple of great crosses from McGinn that, as we said at the time, maybe you can't say he should score, but he should put it on target. That's a wayward ball in the midfield there, and Maatsen does really well to slide and keep it in. Pau Torres takes over and gestures Maatsen to go forwards, moves inside. Certainly more urgency now for Aston Villa. It looks like the centre-backs want to drive them at the pitch, but Pau Torres' pass was wayward. Buendia now really pressing on Hakimi, but Hakimi just shrugs him off. What a graceful player he can be at times. Moved into the middle with Zaire Emery, and out onto the left-hand side now, Kvaratskhelia. I mean, in comparison to all the other players on the PSG pitch, he just stays in that position, hugging the touchline, and you can see why, because he's so dangerous. He's moving inside now. A couple of step overs, tries to play the 1-2. It's really well cut out by Cash, actually, at the back post, and then the foul is eventually won by the substitute Bogard. There's another substitute, Fabian Ruiz, that won it. So certainly the ante has been upped from Aston Villa, but just as we predicted, that's providing more space back there for PSG. We're going to see Ross Barkley and Tyrone Mings come off. It's the yellow-carded Pau Torres that makes way, and João Gomez, who is also on a yellow, makes way for Barkley. So I think, again, good bit of squad and game management there from Unai Emery. Do you think that's all those substitutions are, or do you think he genuinely believes these players can get him back in the game?
A little bit of both, you'd probably say, wouldn't you? I think you spot on with the yellow cards, both on the yellow card. Maybe if it was one, you'd say that's just the substitutions, but you don't want to be down to 10, definitely, in this situation, do you? But also Ross Barkley, you could say that Mings brings a bit more physicality than Pau Torres. Pau Torres more of that finesse kind of defender. He can score some headers from corners, of course. Barkley a little bit more experienced and a little bit more physical, and he's better in those forward areas, so he'll bring that on and experience. And here comes Maatsen. Yeah,
nicks the ball back to Maatsen, digs out a decent cross, but it's too close to Safanov, and Tammy Abraham, who was sniffing around there but couldn't get his first shot of the game away. Kvaratskhelia again is released quickly. That was quite a speculative attempted 1-2 there with Dembele, who was sort of too far away from him, and then had also just kind of made a forward run that made the pass impossible. But they kept coming to PSG. I think they've given away a foul in the end. Buendia, the man brought down, but it was good pressure initially when the ball had been lost. It's starting to look like a PSG that's getting a little bit closer to their best level so far in the last 20 minutes or so. We spoke in the first half about how they often feel like they have to ease themselves into games, and it takes a while for their quality to shine through. I think of no better example of that than that final last season against Arsenal, where they were poor for a long time, but Arsenal just sat back and you just felt like it was only a matter of time. As well, they started very poorly in that crazy game against Bayern Munich, that 5-4 first half victory, but they always do seem to hit the straps eventually. Villa are attempting to come forwards again, but now every time they lose out, it's just clinical one-touch football in the midfield, and then spread out to Dembele on this occasion, who's herring down a goal. He's got Mings for company, managed to get past him, and another. It falls to Kvaratskhelia, attempts to dink, headed away by Matty Cash. I think from this angle it looked like it was going wide anyway, but it's cleared by the right back nonetheless. Then Buendia with a nice half turn in the midfield. He finds Abraham, he's bearing down on goal now. He's got an option either side. Is he going to get the shot away? No, he plays a good pass out onto the right hand side, and then the return does come in from the substitute Alisson. That was good work from Abraham there. I think seems like he's not very happy with Alisson for the return. He just played it as a dangerous ball right across the 6-yard box, but Tammy Abraham, he wasn't there.
I think that's the best he can do when Abraham, as you say, looks a little bit frustrated, but I just think that's really good. Marquinhos gets in front of Abraham. If Abraham's in front of Marquinhos, he taps it in. So I don't think Alisson can do much more. I think Abraham picks out the right pass. I just think there's nothing much more than Winger can do. I think it's a lovely move, well defended by PSG, if we're being honest there. But that was what you just said about PSG moving it quickly in the middle and attacking Villa, yeah. But then PSG, because this is who they are, they throw bodies forward to go and get that third. Because as well, to go get the third, that's game over, isn't it? So they're thinking, just trying to put that final nail in the Aston Villa coffin. Poor play out from the back, here come PSG.
Yeah, giving it away. Doué is the man who pounces on it, but then Dembele tries to roll it around him and is cut out. He's been pretty anonymous, to be honest, as man Dembele since coming on. There's more smart play in the midfield and a good pass forwards from Buendia, but it's cut out by Vitinha, still in that central midfield position. So less than 8 minutes plus added time to go now. It looks like another opportunity to add the Super League to his glittering European trophy collection is going to evade Unai Emery as they give the ball away again. Do Aston Villa and PSG coming forward. That's a heavy ball played through from Fabian Ruiz to Kvaratskhelia, but the pace of the man, he gets there anyway. Gives it to Dembele, and that is an absolute air shot of just a very misjudged volley on the left foot. It's a very difficult technique. It did fall to him, potentially even with enough time to take a little touch. But it was a slightly janky attack from PSG, that one, and still almost resulted in a goal.
Yeah, that's just quality, isn't it? Because I think many other teams, that attack doesn't even come to fruition in that way. But now what the thing is as well is because both teams have made substitutions, just looking at the game as a whole, it's getting stretched, but in a good way. Again, just looking at shots, 8 for PSG, 4 on target, 14 and 4 on target for Villa. I think Unai Emery would think and say 10 shots off target is pretty poor. I know some have been blocked and such, but that's something they can improve on. Villa coming forward again. Yeah,
Hemmings and another decent ball drilled into that 6-yard area, but to the credit of PSG, anytime they have managed to get the ball low into that area, have Aston Villa, then it's been cut out well or defended well by one of those centre-backs. Maatsen gets us back underway from the throw-in. That's a nice little touch played from Buendia into Ross Barkley. Perhaps takes a little bit too long from it, and then the attempted 1-2 between Hemmings and Buendia is cut out during the second pass. Vitinha has been a behemoth back there tonight, I think it's fair to say. He's done more defensive work than offensive, but he's been class so far. Maatsen just tried to do it on his own there. Maisie run into the box, but it's cut out and then just drilled forwards by PSG in towards Bizot. It would be a third Super Cup for Luis Enrique, 1-1 with Barcelona. He actually beat Unai Emery in that final 5-4, Barcelona against Sevilla. What a game that was. And then of course the pair shared another 5-4 European clash last season, the season before, in the Champions League quarter-finals. So maybe, don't want to be greedy, but we could have expected a few more than just the 3 goals today. But it has been an absorbing game with I would say one of those where the major stories and talking points kind of make themselves very apparent, which is always good for us as commentators. But yeah, this will certainly be Maggio's final in my mind, even though Aston Villa look like they're going to be unable to get it to the end of the line. PSG growing into this one as the game's gone on. It's cut out again on the right hand side. It's Kvaratskhelia actually who does it, and a good ball cross-field spread by Vitinha. Hakimi finds Dembele, who drops back behind the halfway line, and once again his pass is cut out. It's not had the influence that we expect from him, and it's more been Doué that's done the damage. It's obviously worth noting as well the fact that so far conspicuous in his absence, if you like, is Bradley Barcola, and immense interest from Liverpool. They are about to bring someone on, and it's not him, it is Mayulu coming on for Desiree Doué. So maybe he's not fully fit, Lewis, but I would say that probably says something about Bradley Barcola's standing in the team right now, that he's not been chosen to come on. Yeah, 100%.
And I think you're right. First of all, probably is about fitness, if we're being honest, because I think if he's, from what's been rumoured, of course we're not in the camps at all, our he would probably be happy to stay at PSG because look, you're winning things, but also he wants to be the star man, and who can blame him? Unfortunately, they went and signed Kvaratskhelia in January 2025, because if not, he'd have been that starting left winger, wouldn't he? Anywhere else, he's the best left winger in the team. PSG probably just have the two best left wingers in the world. They're dispatching Kvaratskhelia and Barcola. That's just how, for Barcola, unlucky, if you want to call it. And then Desi Adoué came through, so you go, oh, I'll just go to the right hand side. Oh no, Doué's there. Oh, can I go central? No, Dembele's there. Okay. And Liverpool, they were interested. Arsenal maybe might go back in because the Vinicius Junior thing kind of unravelled for the Gunners. But also, fitness. And it's like, if you are going to sell a player, you don't want them to come on and maybe pick up an injury, do you? Let's be quite fair. Rangers, Chimiti might be leaving Ibrox, and he picked up an injury at the weekend. So if you're Rangers, you're probably going, why did you even play him? I know you want to win, but we've probably lost out on a bit of money in the transfer market. So, and now the final change, this is more defensive. I know one of the Lucases is going to make his way into the field that you spoke about. I believe it's Beraldo on for Kvaratskhelia. And that is a little bit of, shut up shop and try and see this game out.
Yeah, I thought you were about to link Rangers with Bradley Barcola then. I was thinking I'll have to go check the carbon monoxide alarms in the office, but just confirmation it is Beraldo on for Kvaratskhelia. I imagine
the coffee machine is serving just coffee, so don't worry about that.
And Aston Villa on the ball then. It's a mark of respect, I suppose, from PSG that they've thrown that extra defender on to see out these final couple of minutes plus added time. This unofficial off-tube studio commentary bringing you full coverage of the Super Cup Final. Of course, there'll be plenty more to come on this service in the season as it goes on. Plenty of Champions League football, which of course these two teams will both be involved in. Highly exciting for both sets of sides, although I'm sure it's something that PSG in particular are more than used to by now. There's actually another sort of game like this coming up for PSG at the weekend. On Sunday they face Lens for the trophy as champions. This would be their 13th title under the Spaniard, which is pretty phenomenal, and they've got a chance to make it 14 on Sunday as well. Not bad going at all, but Luis Enrique has been a serial winner everywhere he's gone. Tammy Abraham's trying to make a nuisance of himself, and he's done so because the attempted clearance then goes to Bogard, who loses the ball himself, and PSG, it just takes one pass and they're through and troubling Aston Villa, and the shot comes in from Dembele. He'd done well to ride the challenge from Maatsen initially and get back up, but it was a pretty weak shot from a man who looks like he's still carrying a little bit of World Cup baggage.
Yeah, and I think that's just, it is going to be the thing, isn't it? That's where, realistically, for your PSG, you're probably looking at Kvaratskhelia in the earliest parts of the season. Could you maybe take a bit of the weight off Dembele whilst he finds his fitness and he finds his feet? And I think that's just for every single team, isn't it? With players who've gone to the World Cup, that's a poor clearance. Buendia can't find a teammate there. But again, I think that what you spoke about, that substitution, Beraldo, I think it is same respect to Emery saying, if we keep doing this for another 5-10 minutes, you will probably get a goal. If we sit back and just try and get that Super Cup, we'll be happy with that. But Villa still trying to come forward, but it's like PSG will probably see this one out now.
Yeah, the ball's just gone up. 5 minutes of added time in this one, and Safanov just plays it right out. He's not made necessarily any mistakes tonight, Safanov, but he just doesn't look as composed or as just at the level of most of his teammates, and Villa fans will hate me for saying this, but you put Emi Martinez in that position and doesn't this PSG team maybe start to look perfect on paper? And coming forwards again with Dembele, more flares being let off in the Paris end. Certainly a big concentration of Parisians back there, I'm sure. Ruiz on the ball now in midfield, plays out to Kvaratskhelia. Notable sort of drop off in intensity now in this passage of play. Villa had been pressing really hard, especially since going behind, and that seems to have dropped off, and in response PSG happy to just knock it around a little bit more, moving it left to right through the centre backs and back out to Ayulu, who looks like he's maybe dropped back to right back. I was actually going to say a couple of words on him quickly because he looks like a handy player himself. Both footed as the 20-year-old. He's spent his entire career at PSG so far, and he came on, I think, initially to replace Doué up front as a striker, but I did notice that in his bio it says that he can actually play centre mid and right back as well, and it seems like right wing back maybe that he's slotting into at the present moment. Tammy Abraham's got the ball wide just outside the box on the right hand side. Plays it back to a couple of players that get it through to Ross Barkley. Matson then gets it, spins his man back to Barkley. He's waiting for Tyrone Mings on the overlapping run. Finds him now. He doesn't fancy digging out the cross first time though. Said plays it back to Matson. PSG with plenty of bodies back now, but still working it around Aston Villa. Buendia rolls it out to the right hand side for Alisson. He's looked fairly bright since coming on. He misses out. Matty Cash can't save his blushes, and then he comes charging in. Does the youngster, it was actually Hemmings, who's played the full 90, which is impressive for such a young player. But he was frustrated there, and he couldn't stop anything other than a PSG goal kick.
No, and again, that's a credit to PSG's defence. And this just shows you, though, that PSG, but as you said, we spoke about, for example, the sale of Ramos and the purchase of Ferran Torres, of this, you lean into one philosophy, aren't you? It shows they can defend, though, like no others as well, which is really impressive. And it's kind of what they did against Bayern Munich, didn't they? Because it was 5-4 at the Parc des Princes, weren't they? And you go, oh my word, what a game. These guys going toe for toe, like a heavyweight boxing fight of just one blow after another, one big hit after another. And then in the second leg, they scored the first goal, and Luis Enrique just shut up shop, because he kind of went, right, I don't want to concede 4 this season. I don't even want a chance that Bayern Munich get back in this game. If we get a 2-goal, if we get that first goal and then get a 2-goal buffer, I'm happy with that. Let's sit and defend on that and go from there. And it shows here as well that Aston Villa are getting on top of us. We're happy to sit back. We're not just this, if we don't press high and we don't be fluid, that's how we do, how we play. It shows that they can play different ways, which to me that's very impressive from the Parisians.
Yep, 29 conceded in 34 games in Ligue 1, and we've seen much better from league champions over the years, but it's also still less than a goal a game. It's very tidy, and figure slightly higher in the Champions League, but that's probably quite a lot to do with that one game against Bayern Munich, as the attempted ball threaded through, but Bizot does well to cut that one out. And we're approaching the final minute of the game then, with Aston Villa deep in their own half under pressure from Hakimi. Mings managed to squeeze out of that one for now, but they've once again, their game awareness and game management, they've really driven up the pitch here. PSG trying to prevent that final Aston Villa attack. They've been unable to do so though, because Matson's been released down the left hand side. He's not got many people to aim at in the box, but he does dig out across. Header comes in across goal from Emi Buendia, and tell you what, I'm not sure they thought they were going to get another opportunity as good as that. It's far from an easy header for Buendia. He's bust a gut to even get there. He's got 3 players around him, and it's also one where he's past the near post, so he's got to generate the power on it and sort of get that flick on, but he's unable to do so or even get it on target.
That's the problem, you rightfully see. He's in front of the front post, so he's just trying to get anything on it to even maybe flick it to the back sticks. But look, credit to Villa, with final seconds now, they're pushing for a goal. It looks like they're not going to get it. Maybe this will be their final attack, and looking to come forward for an equaliser.
Yeah, Barkley finds Matson. Can he find Barkley again? He does. Will he get the shot away? He just gets it a little bit too wide, and then he tries to get it back to Matson, but it's really well defended back there by PSG. And will that be that? The referee hasn't blown his whistle yet. Unai Emery is picking up the ball, imploring his team to get on with it, but the referee decides that will be that. So the end of an enthralling Super Cup between Paris Saint-Germain and Aston Villa. It's heartbreak for the villains, but they've gone back to back, have PSG, deservedly so, the best team in world football right now, and they put on a clinic in the back half of that second 45 to close it out and get their second consecutive Super League to go along with their 2 consecutive Champions Leagues. So the end of an interesting night here and the start of European football for a new season, but it's ended PSG 2, Aston Villa 1.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever... Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting markets, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck! Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result,